Today's video is sponsored by Minimal Case. Now it's that time of year where all of the newest phones have just been released. We have the release of all the new iPhones, the new Pixel lineup, and if you're like me, you probably pick a phone based off of its design. And the last thing that I want to do is cover it up with some huge bulky case, and that's where Minimal Case comes in. Their case designs are made to give you protection against scratches and light drops while still allowing you to enjoy the design of the phone itself. If you go to their site, you can see they're available in more natural type colors. You have frosted black, frosted white, you have matte options, and you even have clear cases available as well. Now, if you are interested in buying any of their cases, make sure to use the code Gamesky where you can save 25%. And again, I'd like to thank Minimal Case for sponsoring today's video. All right, guys, so we definitely need to talk about this pair of truly wireless earbuds. The pair we're gonna check out are the Buttons Air X. Now, this is a celebrity endorsed pair of earbuds from the artist Will.i.am. You may know him from the group Black Eyed Peas, but he's also a famous producer, and he's always kind of been known for having this unique look. He has a certain style about him, and so he kind of brought that over into the earbud market and have actually made a pair of earbuds that definitely stand out. But in my opinion, there's a lot of issues with this pair. There's a lot of things that are very questionable. And so that's the reason I wanted to do a video on these. Now, to start with, these are an Indiegogo project funded pair of earbuds, which normally I'm not a huge fan of Indiegogo campaigns, but this is from a more well-known artist and company, so I figured this would be okay. But what's weird about these is I've had them now for a couple of months. In fact, they were supposed to be released on Indiegogo about a month ago. They were actually released and then they were put on hold like a day or two later. In fact, I will have a link in the description so you can check this out. Once you go to the link, there's just this banner that says they're not accepting funds at the moment. And so I reached out to the company to try to find out what was going on, and they said it's some kind of trademark issue right now. It is being worked on. They said it should be available soon, but that was over a month ago. So I'm not really sure when or if these are ever going to be available. But another thing that I want to point out about that is on the Indiegogo page when it was available, it said the original retail price of these were going to be $300. They were offering an early bird price of $169. But this is something that a lot of companies do. It's kind of like a marketing thing to make people feel like they're getting this really good deal, because as a consumer, you're not paying the $300 price tag, but it makes you feel a little bit better about paying the $169 price tag. Well, I'm here to tell you that it was nowhere near worth the $300 price tag, and it's still not an easy pill to swallow at $169. And the reason I say that is so far throughout the holiday season, the Sony WF-1000XM3s have been on sale for $169. And in my opinion, that's some of the best all-around earbuds that you're gonna find. They have incredible noise canceling, they have incredible sound, and so for this pair to compete against those, they need to be something special. Now, they do have hybrid active noise canceling, and in my opinion, I think the noise canceling is actually very good on these. Now, it's not Sony or Bose great. It's still about 2 notches below those. To kind of put it into perspective, I would say if the Sony or the Bose is blocking out around 90%, I would put these blocking out around 75 to 80. So it's still some of the better noise canceling that I've heard, but given the fact that you can still get the best, which is the Sony in my opinion, at the $169 price tag, it makes it hard to look into these. But let's go ahead and check out some of the other features, what you get inside the box, and why it may or may not be worth the $169 price tag. Now, these are using a quad-core Qualcomm 5124 chip. They do have Bluetooth 5.0 with aptX, AAC, and ultra-low latency, so it does a very good job as far as the connection goes. I didn't experience any kind of lag with videos or movies, and even with gaming, there's like a slight lag. So if you're somebody that's looking to just consume a lot of media and that type of content, it may be a pair you're interested in. Now these also use the TWS Plus connection, which means your device is sending a signal to both earbuds individually, and that way it doesn't have one earbud depending on the connection of another. And again, that's causing for a more stable connection. Now, as far as the IP rating, they do come in rated at IPX4, which means if you are out and about, they are fine if it starts to rain or they get splashed on, but it's still not a pair that you could submerge into water. Now, moving over to looking at the packaging itself, this is something you can tell they put a lot of time and effort into. It really makes you feel like you're getting something premium. Now, inside the box, you're getting 5 sets of silicone ear tips. And then as far as the charging cable, they're using a USB-C cable. Now, speaking of the charging cable, battery life is another thing I think they did a really good job with. Now, on the earbuds themselves, you're going to get around 10 hours of use, where with the charging case, you're looking to get around 30. Now, one thing I do want to point out about these, and one thing I think is definitely lacking, is the case should be a Qi wireless charging case. I think in this price range, a lot of people are going to be looking for that feature. There's also no fast charge feature, which is another thing that has come to be expected in this price range. So that is something they definitely should have done differently. Now, as far as the case itself, one thing I do want to point out is I really like the design. It resembles a button. It has a lot of squared off like diamond shaped edges. On the back, you can see your USB-C input. And then around on the front, you can see that single indicator light so that you can kind of gauge how much battery life is left on the case. Now, moving over to looking at the earbuds are identical to the case. So they have that unique button type design. It is a little bit larger when it's in your ear, so it definitely stands out. It kind of looks like you have those gauge type earrings in your ear. So that is something you probably want to know going into that. Now, as far as the controls, these do use touch controls, and I'm happy to say that they do give you control over everything. So you have your play, your pause, skipping your tracks forward, going backwards, and even volume control all on the earbuds. And another plus is it also allows you to switch between the 3 different sound modes, which is basically a normal mode with the noise canceling turned off. You have your noise canceling on mode, and then you have an ambient mode. And in my opinion, I really like the ambient mode feature on here. I think it does a very good job of pulling in your surroundings. That way you can carry on a conversation without actually having to pull the earbuds out. But it also allows you to hear traffic and things around you that makes you a little safe if you're going to be using these in busy environments. Now, another feature that I like on these is they also have these smart sensors, which means if you're listening to music and you pull the earbuds out, it will automatically pause your music. And then once you put them back in, it'll just resume and go back to what you're listening to. And then as far as the microphones on here, I think they did a very good job at having the mics pick up your voice and block out your surroundings during phone calls. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
Alright guys, so here is a mic test using the Buttons Air X. I think it does a very good job of picking up my voice, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is a mic test with a crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound. Now I'm one of those people, if I'm going to be spending money on an audio product, the sound quality is the most important thing. It doesn't matter how they look. It doesn't matter how big they are. It doesn't matter, what some of the other features are. I will pay anything if the sound is worth it. And this pair, the sound is definitely not worth it. And one thing they could have done to save this is have an app to be able to EQ these, because the way that they're EQ'd out of the box, it's way too warm sounding. It's way too boomy, and the mids are pulled back in a way that with a lot of genres, it just feels like the vocalist is way behind the music. It kind of feels like they're behind a curtain, and it just lacks a lot of detail. Same thing with the treble. The treble should have been tuned up a lot more to be able to kind of counterbalance that boomier bass, which I'm a bass head. I'm all about having really nice bass on a pair of headphones and earbuds. But I also like clarity, I like details, I don't like to have that loss because I want boomy bass. And I feel like it's focusing so much on the bass that it just kind of forgot everything else. The same thing with the sound stage and the sound imaging. If you're going to have a pair that just has boomy bass, it closes in the sound quite a bit, so it definitely does not feel like you're in an open environment. It doesn't make you feel like you're in a large room. I had no issues with being able to tell where sounds and instruments were coming from. There's just not a whole lot of depth to them. Now, outside of that, the other cons that I did have, the case I wish was a Qi wireless charging case, and I really wish that there was an app to change the EQing on these. Because outside of that, the noise canceling is really good. The battery life is really good, and the design is unique in a way that makes these stand out. But in my opinion, it doesn't make these worth the $169 price tag, and it's way far from being worth the $300 price tag. So this is a pair that I can't recommend when or if it will ever be available. But guys, that's my video on the Buttons Air X. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.